Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we've got Monday NBA action here for you, looking at best bets in this episode. Also have another episode up with player props, so definitely recommend subscribing to that page. Continue to follow along with us the rest of this NBA season. Obviously, you also have the NFL props up, so you get plenty of good stuff there by joining that YouTube channel. Nate, we had a pretty good day there last week to end the week. A little bit better, I believe, in the player props, but still plenty to like here in the best bets. So let's get into your first look here for Monday.
Yeah, it's the one I got right on Friday. I'm going back to the well here with the Mavs plus money, plus 3.5, and maybe put a quarter unit or a half unit on the money line while you're at it. It's plus 135. They're at Sacramento here. It was just like it's a stars out, bets up look at Phoenix. Now we're looking at another kind of wounded team that is, there's no new coach bump in the NBA. The Kings fire their coach and then post the worst defensive rating of the season promptly against the Lakers and just a blowout. So I have no problem continuing to fade them with Doug Christie now as interim coach. You wonder about players quitting when they, a guy who was clearly doing a good job was just let go as a scapegoat. So it's not a good vibe here in Sacramento. And Dallas, they correctly identify that they just do just fine without Luka in the regular season. Like their defensive lineups are incredible. They didn't even have Lively on Friday, and he might be back here. I know Najee Marshall's suspended, but he's a little more interchangeable with PJ and Quentin Grimes rotating in there. But if they get Lively back, that'd be huge here against Sabonis and company. Of course, they turn around, lose on a back-to-back, but now on normal rest here in Sacramento. Gotta like them. 7-3 ATS as dogs or after a loss are the Mavericks this year. The Kings are the worst team against the spread in the NBA. 32% in general. Crazy. Even worse at home. 4-13 this year. 4-10 as a favorite. They're 3-11 straight up in clutch games, and they've lost 9 games when leading in the fourth. And we just saw Dallas in a couple games just kind of take over the fourth quarter. Kyrie to God. In that Minnesota game. And then, what he did against Portland just didn't get the rest of the guys to come along with him. But since joining the Mavs against Sacramento, he has a 133 offensive rating, 27 a game, plus 40 on the floor. So he's going to be a problem. The Kings, they have problems all over on both sides. Like their offense has been clunky. I don't know how Christie's really going to fix that. And clearly their defense looks a little bit worse without Mike Brown, who was just kind of holding this thing together with duct tape, I think, and how the bottom's kind of fallen out.
Yeah, I think De'Aaron Fox would disagree that Mike Brown was the glue, but I don't think there was any glue is the problem. So it was just two parts of the problem sort of battling each other, and they're always going to go with D Fox over Mike Brown in that situation. And Mike Brown, once he basically threw D Fox under the bus, lost his last remaining slight ally, and now he's gone. And I don't know how that's going to impact the offense. I would imagine it gets better, but I didn't see that in the game one. Even the betting markets were showing that it became a widely understood phenomenon that first coach without the first game without the coach who just got fired is usually going to result in that team covering. And the public and everybody, sharps, were going at the Kings, and then they lost by double digits to the Lake Show. I don't know how one person comes in and fixes this because the players themselves probably are not a good fit together, especially on offense. And the defense, maybe the thing that comes in here for Sac that helps them is that Keon Ellis finally gets consistent minutes. I don't know how you keep him off the floor when he's the only guy that can guard the wing one-on-one with that level of ferocity and quickness. So whatever. But Dallas without Luka, I'm still okay with it. Most people will remember that there's a guy named Kyrie Irving who still plays for that team, and they're getting a lot of their guys back, except for Najee. And I believe PJ is going to miss this one as well, but they still got plenty of shooters out the gym. I'll be looking at some Quentin Grimes stuff when we get those props. But let me get to my Knickerbockers here and take them in a revenge spot, because even though they beat Washington, did they really beat Washington? If you don't beat them by 6 last game, or at least double digits, or did you beat them? So I'm going to take them minus 11. I ain't scared, to be honest, of this 11, because I already had a really good read on this last Saturday when the Knicks were playing the Wizards, and I was just like, this is not going to be your typical Wizards-Knicks game. We got Jordan Poole out. We have Tibbs still playing all the starters 40 million minutes because he's a complete maniac. And they're playing the backups for one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NBA. And you still start all your starters and you still play them 40 plus minutes. That was wrong. That was the wrong play. get your backups in there versus their backups. Two sort of lineups of dudes that are going to try, because it was a back-to-back against, after beating Orlando by 13. 2 days prior, they had just played Wemby and the Spurs on Christmas. It was their third game in 4 nights. It was a total letdown spot. But every other game that's not a letdown spot for this team in the last 2 seasons versus Washington has been a complete beatdown by close to 20 points. So last season, they played 3 times. The Knicks won all 3. They won 1 game by 4 points. Another weird back-to-back moment for them against Washington. And the other 2, they won by 16 and like 24 points. So they're beating this team by an average of like 14 points per game last year. And then the same thing this year. They come in, they got rest. It's normal. It's the beginning of November. They're happy-go-lucky. They smack the Wizards by 28. Then they come back in this weird spot, and now we get even an 11-point spread. I'm like, shoot, we've seen this thing up at 13.5, 14.5 for them. So I'm not scared of that either. I think the other thing, if you just want to do the math real quick, if you like really look at the sort of plus minus for each player, and you really give them an estimated plus minus here, and you look at all those and you add it up, this next team is favored by about 14.8 points. If you just look at the players, and that includes having Jordan Poole out there, which, as good as he is on offense, not sure how good he is for the development of the rest of the players on this team who have looked good when he's not out there. So, I'm going to take the Knicks. I know this is a high spread. This is higher than anything that we normally would. This might be the highest spread I've ever recommended on this show, but that's how not scared in a really good spot for them I am.
Yeah, I mean, you see this sometimes with the baseball schedule, the home, that the second game is kind of a big boomerang in some ways. I mean, we just saw with the Pacers Celtics, right? If you struggle on one end, you come right back and you just clean everything up because you're like, it's the exact same matchup we know we got to do. So maybe the Knicks can fix that defense against the Wizards and just kind of blow them out that way. I would lean over as well,
Yeah.
given how the Knicks have been winning, that they could put up 130 easily on this Wizards team like most people do. And the Wizards getting Kuzma back, I believe.
Yep.
Brogdon maybe ramping up more minutes and a huge game from what is it? Justin Champagne? Which brother?
That one's Justin. Correct.
Justin Champagne.
Yep.
And just to clean it up, yeah, PJ is playing tonight. He was suspended Saturday, just 1 game. So yeah,
got it. Okay, thank you. That makes sense.
Does have PJ.
Cool.
Second pick for me is the Bulls in Charlotte, and it's only -5. I mean, they're a high 3-point shooting team, so I mean it's not that hard to cover this 5 though, especially against a team that just frankly isn't going to score. The Hornets are without LaMelo, also Brandon Miller and Trey Mann still, and Cody Martin still. So it's just like all you have is Micic to kind of facilitate some offense here, and Miles Bridges, sure. But I mean, the Bulls have Pat Williams back in there, so they at least have somebody to put on him. And Micic on the other end is just food. Like, he is one of the easiest guys to attack in the NBA in terms of a backcourt, pick and roll partner. And so I really like Josh Giddey props. I'll get into that. But Giddey and Levine are both expected to go here. For the Bulls, their offense should be firing. I mean, in their last 6 road games, they're scoring 126, playing fast per usual, draining threes, draining assisted threes. And the Hornets in December, 7th worst defensive rating, 7th most threes allowed. But more importantly, the offense dead last in effective field goal percentage. And that's, with LaMelo in there dropping like 30, and Miller's only missed a couple in here, but 9 without LaMelo this season. 101 points per game, only topped 104 once, and that was also their only win against the Pacers, who we could not trust at that point. Regardless of whether LaMelo's in there, they've lost 15 of 16. They're only 3-8 against the spread in December. That was some like very close covers on double-digit spreads, 2 of those. So I mean, they pretty routinely here losing by double digits, and the Bulls, I think, have the firepower to run away from them. So yeah, maybe it's a trap, but like I'm happily try to land on the right side of variance here with the Bulls draining a bunch of threes against this bad team.
Yeah. No qualms with that. I mean, I was actually trying to see real quick. What is the difference here? It's the same with and without LaMelo. They're basically the same. They score more for sure. Does Charlotte with LaMelo out there, and he's not going to be. We're not even talking about with or without Brandon Miller also out there. I kind of want to make the case that like this team might be better without LaMelo. I mean, but that might just be my personal preference. Like if I ever stepped on a pickup court with LaMelo, I'd walk off. I would just walk off. I'd be like, I'm not seeing the ball. This is not going to be fun for me. I'm going to watch him be a turnstile and other dudes just go right around him. So, but at any rate, yeah, now we're talking, it's not like the wins above replacement for his backups are going to matter, even if they're more efficient, because we're talking about Isaiah Wong at this point. We don't even have like KJ Simpson or Nick Smith Jr., G leaguers who could be playing, but they're just running with the G League at this point, not getting any starter minutes, any NBA minutes right now. I don't know who runs that offense. I won't hear any Micic slander on this show, but his defense is up for speculation, so I'll at least allow that. But let's close it out here with, honestly, like, I don't think your game is as much of a trap as now. I'm really starting to wonder if my game is a trap here with the Pellies and the Clippers, because I'm taking the Clips here -4.5, and I ain't scared again, man. Like, the Pellies suck so bad. What do we? I don't know what we're waiting for that for to change with them, but like, they still don't have any semblance of a defense, and that's where it starts. The offense is clunky because who thought DeJounte Murray was going to come in and be a good fit next to CJ, Brandon? Like, here's another guy who shoots a ton of mid-range shots. Let's put him on our team. That doesn't make any sense to me. So that the offense is still just as clunky as it was with these guys now out there for the last 10 games, right? It hasn't gotten any better. On the season, they are 29th in D rating, 29th in O rating. In the last 10 games, they're 27th in O rating. They've had Trey Murphy, they've had CJ McCollum, they've had DeJounte Murray. We've seen DeJounte Murray's prop drop from about 22.5 points, which it was to open when he came back to the team, now down to about 17.5 points, and he's going to receive a tough matchup. But that's why I also like LAC. We're talking about Chris Dunn, Derrick Jones Jr., even Norm Powell, right? All these guys coming in and being able to guard small, rangy guards like a CJ McCollum, or a tall, rangy guard like a DeJounte Murray. So there's no real engine to the offense. There's just the hope that Trey Murphy catches and shoots and makes some threes. That's really what it is at this point. They're probably not going to have, well, I'll say that he's a legit questionable tag for Yves Missy, and that's already the weakest part of their team. And it's not even because he's bad. I think he's actually going to be a good NBA player. He's actually in second, I believe, now that we lost Jared McCain in Rookie of the Year voting. That's kind of what this rookie class is about, just to be fair. Yves Missy would not be second in Rookie of the Year voting almost any other year in the NBA, I would imagine. So I'm not trying to pick on him, but they are basically the worst paint defense in the league. They are giving up the second most points per game at the rim. They're giving up the third most points per game in the paint in general, second most over the last 10. So it got actually a little bit worse. And this is all things that the Clippers are going to do well. They're going to get points off of turnovers. They're third there. The Pellies are giving up the fourth most points off of turnovers with the fifth highest turnover percentage. They are dead last in allowing fast break points. Believe it or not, Nate, as much as we think of this Clippers team as like a choppy defense first team, they will get out into transition. They have the 10th most fast break points in the last 10. They're 12th on the season. So they're still a top half of the league team when it comes to getting out into transition. They are the third most efficient team in transition. They have the third most points per possession when they actually get out and run. Quick side note, the Knicks are the number one points per possession transition team in the league right now. So anybody who wants to just look at the Knicks as the 30th pace team and just take unders, just careful a little bit. I just heed a little bit of caution, because this is what I found out while I was looking at how bad the Pellies are in their defense in transition. I also saw the Knicks are very, very, very good. But yeah, either way, this is just going to be a sort of parade to the rim, as I would imagine. I'm not scared of Zubac to go over 12.5 rebounds, if that tells you how I feel about this game with how much of a sieve they are down low. So yeah, I think the Clippers win this thing by about closer to 8 or 9 than 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, small sample size alert, but in the two games as a road favorite, the Clippers have won by 25 a game, covering by 20. So, and in general, as a favorite, 8-2 against the spread, winning by 15 a game. So yeah, the books, they don't usually fall in the trap. That's the thing. Like, you might worry with other teams being like, oh, the Pellies suck. Like, they've lost how many in a row, but Ty Lue just keeps grinding, right? I mean, that's what you hang your hat on. It's like, regardless of the personnel, it's like, I just trust this guy to press the right advantages against a really bad team, and for the Clippers to go out there and just handle business here on the front end of a back-to-back.
Yeah, front end. Yeah, which is fine. I would imagine that it's another situation to just get your guys in, dominate in the first half, get them out. I'd be a little bit worried about like a James Harden prop over, just because if they do dominate in the first half and then we see him sort of dwindle in the second as they get ready for the next game up. And just a little side note, if you did want to take some action on the Clips to win the division, I think it's still overpriced. I believe you're still getting about 5-1. There's the chance that Kawhi comes back. Everybody else in this division has just as many, if not more, problems than the Clippers, I would argue. argue. So I think there's still a good look at that number. I've been pushing that
Yeah,
here
I saw
recently.
Kawhi back by January 4th, like
Yeah.
targeting. Yeah.
The fact that they even have a date for Kawhi indicates, hey, we might actually see him play basketball. I'm not going to rely on that. I'm just saying, even if he's back for 15 games, it's a little bump to help you in that pack division. But that's all the time we have in Best Bets. Definitely make sure to subscribe to that page. Don't miss the player props that we have up as well. And until we see you next, happy betting.